You're still tuned in to Econo Chat. Let's talk business with Mr. Daniel Steinman. I'm your hostess, Elsabe Tibinyani, and we are talking about water. We're talking about climate change. Mr. Daniel Steinman did explain to us, the effects of climate change. There's also that question of, is it real? Is it not real? But like we said, it is all around us. It happens every day. It's raining for like a year. We have not received any rain, and then suddenly we have rain for almost the whole year. Not specifically Namibia, but then we also see a lot of things happening around the world that we question what is happening. It's not a religious thing. But it is real.
No, even here.
Yeah.
Going from bone dry to where you have to swim for your life.
Yeah, I had this uncle that once told me, no, it's because of our sins. That's why God is doing this. But I'm not going to dive into that right now, Mr. Daniel Steinman. Climate change. There is this thing that we do not know what is going to happen. It's not consistent.
Point.
Yeah.
If you fly blind, it's impossible to budget.
Yes.
And if you look at the damage that COVID did, why? Because it was unexpected. Nobody knew how to handle COVID because the last time we had something like that, the big flu, was in 1918, just over 100 years ago.
Yeah.
And so you tend to forget how big the flu pandemic of 1918 was. It's 5 generations back. And now the same. I'm using that as an example to illustrate how devastating the effect can be, because we don't know what the end result will be. And what makes it so difficult is if you don't know what the result is, it means that you don't have any contingency that you can sort of incorporate into your national budget.
Of course.
We've got I think it's the disaster or emergency
disaster
department in the office of the Prime Minister.
Yes.
But if you go look at the budget, it's really just a budget to keep the department alive.
Yeah.
It is not a real contingency budget. If there are floods, we've got so many millions available. Yeah. If there's a drought, we've got so many millions available. And this is basically the way that we in Namibia experience climate change, is those extremes. There's always either too much water or too little water. And it really goes from the agricultural sector is devastated by drought. Just take, for instance, 2019. And then a year later, nobody in the north can plant anymore.
Yeah.
Why? Because the whole world is underwater. It doesn't make sense.
It doesn't.
It's also, you can't plan for it. And this is what makes it so dangerous. The fact that you can't predict when there will be a drought, and you can't predict when there will be a flood. You can say, yes, Namibia is generally an arid country.
Yeah.
So we have to be prepared or there are certain limitations on how we develop the agricultural sector. If you farm with goats in Damara land, you need 16 hectares for every one animal. You can't really exceed that. You can for a few months. For 3 or 4 months, then there are 8 or 9 months in which there's no fodder.
Yeah.
Then all the gains you made by exceeding those natural limitations, you lose them.
Yeah.
Because the goats just die again. So this is something that's known widely in Namibia, whether it's the south, central parts, the north, whether it's goats or sheep or cattle. The farmers know that. And even if you take the Otavi Valley south of Grootfontein, where we plant most of our maize, that is a good rainfall area, but most of that irrigation is from groundwater sources, I think the old German word for it is the Karstfeld. Karstfeld, yes. And that refers to the white calcium stone that you find below the surface there.
Yeah.
Kalkrand, all these names with kalk in it.
Yeah.
Refers to that limestone.
Okay.
Which is what the Karstfeld is all about. But coming back to to a critical appraisal of where does this leave us. If we want to talk about water, first of all, it's a very important economic input. Nothing in Namibia moves without provision for water. Why? Because there's so little of it. And then comes the good Lord and He surprises us all, and He just dumps 50 millimeters in half an hour on a certain area, and then everything that was so bone dry is suddenly underwater. So, and it's unpredictable.
Very much.
We know that the probability, the statistical chance for flooding in summer is obviously higher than in winter, but it's often so amazing that in a very dry area, suddenly in August, you find there's a Omaramba in flood. And it was a single downpour, maybe 20 kilometers upstream. And you will also remember that often tourists find themselves in trouble because they camp right smack in the middle of a dry riverbed, and then suddenly, unexpectedly, out of season, out of nowhere, comes this huge mass of water, which you can't predict. This is, from an economic perspective, the biggest problem. For the last, I don't want to say 200 years, but let's make it 100 years, for a very long time, in the formal development of the academic discipline economics, unpredictability has always been something that some clever Nobel Prize winning economists somewhere have tried to design a formula that you can sort of capture unpredictability. And you know what happened? Is like with Fritjof Capra, the very popular, very well-known example of the butterfly in the Pacific Ocean flapping its wings, and that changes one drop to go that way, and it changes the whole Earth's weather pattern. It's a bit over-exaggerated, but it illustrates very well that economic principle of unpredictability. Even in 2008, you must remember we had a very stable global economy until 2008, 2009, the Great Recession, and I read many highly rated academic papers on unpredictability. And this is the whole catch about unpredictability, is that you can't predict it.
Of course.
If you could, you could design a formula. You could crunch the numbers, you could do the maths, and you could predict an outcome. But this is our biggest threat. We don't know what is, in terms of water, our water resources, our number one basic economic element. We don't know what's coming.
On that note, let's quickly go for a short break, and we will be back closing it off.